morning news are Warhammer 40k only.
So, okay, yeah, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the stream. We're just having a bit of a chat. Jerry and I are going to. It is Jerry. I'm
Yeah,
pronouncing that right?
Gary.
Gary.
It's Gary. Yes.
Gary. Okay. I knew I'd get that wrong, but that's okay. So we're just having a
Oh,
bit of a chat
everybody get it wrong.
about.
No,
We're having
don't
a little bit of
worry.
a chat about Guardsman and costuming and making stuff, and we're just going to have a bit of a chill out for a little while. So, thanks for joining us, and yeah, well, feel free to chat.
Thank you. Well, I have to start my stream now and
Okay,
see if everything's
let's go.
working.
I've done my intro,
Okay.
and I've
Okay,
got the
I'm gonna
coffee,
let
so
you know when everything is running.
I think I
Uh,
can hear myself coming back in your speakers too.
oh, just wait a sec because it tells me that I have to switch the key for some reason.
Ah, so stream key.
Yeah, stream key issue. Okay. Now let's see. Okay, just to get the signal. Okay, we have a signal and just waiting for YouTube to give me the green light to press the button. Come on, YouTube. Okay, and pressing the button. Okie dokie. So, we are live, guys. Hi, and welcome to this live interview. And my awesome guest today is Terry from the amazing channel. Terry, the channel?
The channel, big cosplay forge. So
Yes,
welcome to the forge.
literally the forge. So, behind you, we have some amazing creations, and you are the creator and the amazing designer of this marine that's above my head from Guardsman, and you also played him. That's correct?
Yes, yes. Also, I was the actual Marine in the Guardsman short film, so that was a lot of fun. We'll get into that shortly, but yeah. So anyway, how are you?
Oh, well, I'm fine, Corona, all of those things.
Stuck inside like the rest of us. Uh, but so
Yeah, but for
anyway,
a
let's.
creative person like me, it's no problem because I'm just creating and working on something all the time. So
Oh,
it's
good, good.
just, yeah,
That's good to hear. So
it's not an issue. But let me know, like, how did you start with cosplaying? What drove you into this art, so to speak?
it was actually a funny story. And it was only about 3 years ago, so I haven't been costuming for that long. I definitely haven't been cosplaying for that long. But I used to go to those conventions, like everybody, the comic conventions, and you'd pay your $40 to get in the front door, and you'd walk around for 2 hours. Um, then you'd go home, and you'd think,
Yeah.
what a waste of $40. I just I just blew $40 to walk around a convention and then go home. So I said to my wife, I said, look, next convention, I'm going in costume. I don't care. I want to experience this thing from top to toe. So from start to finish, I want to have, I want to experience this cosplay thing. And she says, all right, we'll see. Sure. So she didn't really believe me. So I started off with now just a little bit more backstory is two friends of mine and I we would do every second Friday we'd have a bit of a boys club where we'd play virtual reality games on the HTC Vive headset and drink beer.
Awesome. Oh, that's
So,
great. That's amazing.
but that started to get a little bit boring after a while, and this sort of coincided about the same time as me deciding I wanted to go in costume. So I said to the guys, I said, well, let's build some costumes and go to the next convention. And they said, yeah, let's do it. Okay, yeah, let's go. So I started doing a little bit of research, and obviously I'm in no shape to be dressed in spandex or tight superhero costumes. So I thought, you know what? I need a big costume. I need something I can hide in. And it was only then when I came across Well, I'd known about Space Marines and Warhammer, but I've never played the game, and I really didn't know much about the history or anything like that. And definitely didn't know there was cosplay costumes until I started researching. And I came across one a blue, I think it was a Blood Angel over in Florida, and by the name of well, the guy that made it was a guy by the name of Gary Sturley, and fantastic, costume, really, really brilliant. And I thought, I want that. I want to make that. And I didn't even know where to start. I just had no clue. I didn't even know there was the stuff called EVA foam that you make this stuff out of, which is pretty much floor mats. And I didn't know where to get it. I didn't know what it was. I had no clue. So I started doing a little bit more research and homework, and joined a few groups on Facebook, and then that just kept accelerating and accelerating. By about Christmas, the other guys had given up, and I was stuck there with this big project myself. And,
Oh boy.
but one guy had pretty much given up because he couldn't afford it. Another guy had, like the other guy, John, he just didn't have the time. He had the money, just not the time. And so I think by the time I finished my costume, he had a pair of boots done. And so it was, it's a long process in making a costume.
Oh yes.
So
Yes,
first,
that's why I wanted to ask you, how is the process? But continue on
I'll get into the
after
process
this.
shortly. So
Yes.
so yeah. Anyway, it's took about 3 months for that for the first Marine, which is that guy back there. So
Mhm.
and that was my very very first costume I ever made. Then about through would have been 4 weeks before the convention, John had told his wife that he was going in costume to the convention. So she'd gone ahead and booked accommodation and bought the tickets and everything. And so he came to me, he says, look, I need that costume finished. Any chance? And I said, all right. So because I knew what I was doing, it took me about 3 weeks to finish his. So that wasn't too bad. And then about a week before the actual convention, and actually it would have been about 2 weeks before the convention, my wife said, I want to go in costume too. And I think on the stream, it's a far left picture on your screen, where you
Mm.
can see the Terminator in the front with the two Marines, and then the girl in the front. That was the first costume I made for her. Now she had found a
Yes,
picture. Yep,
Sisters of Battle.
yes, it was a modified Sisters of Battle. She found a picture from a female cosplayer in Germany who had done a much more like a different version of a Sister of Battle. It was a lot more streamlined and more comfortable to wear. So compared to the normal Sisters of Battle costumes, which are so uncomfortable for most girls to wear.
Oh,
Um,
I can imagine.
so yeah, we kind of hit the convention circuit by like a whirlwind. We turned up there, and on the Friday night, uh, once we'd suited up, it took us about 3 hours to walk 50 meters because we were just flooded with people circling us, taking photos and everything. It was the most incredible experience. Um, I'd never experienced anything like it. I'd never seen anything like it. It was addictive. So it was
Oh yeah.
fantastic. But yeah, so that got me into conventions, and that was that was great. And so there was a drive continuously from then on to make new costumes, to make better costumes, to make just awesome stuff. And so obviously I started the group 40K Cosplay along with another 40K cosplayer as well, and the like it's just expanded out to a point where nearly got 4,000 members on Facebook now, who are all avidly making costumes
Oh
or
yeah,
have
I
or
joined.
have
I joined.
costumes. I know, I
I
saw that.
proudly joined. Yes.
I was actually going to a preview, and somebody else already did, because there's 3 admins now. The group has gotten so big that we actually need to, have more people helping out with it. But it's a fantastic group. So if you do, guys, girls, and appropriate other Xenos, um, if you do want to actually make a costume, or you're interested in 40k cosplay stuff, in any sort, jump along to 40k cosplay on Facebook. Come and join us. We're always so helpful with patterns, plans, methods, techniques, how-tos, where to go and get your materials, and so we can walk you through all of that stuff from start to finish and get you suited up in your very own Marine, or I won't say Terminator, because I've had so many people ask me if I can make them one. It's like,
Oh,
no, no, not at all. That thing almost drove me
well, that
crazy.
must cost a lot too. So it's a lot of material. It's a lot of work. It's a
Actually,
lot of hours.
it is a lot of material. I mean, the first time when I made the Space Marine, I started off by obviously learning how to cut foam from a YouTube video. So I had some foam there, and I had a knife very similar to this sort of thing here, so a little box cutter. So this is a smaller version, but
Mhm.
so and I'd drawn the line, and I was like, okay, now to cut this line. It wasn't that simple. There was a bunch of techniques I had to learn, like how to put the knife on the right angle, and don't stop part way. Uh, but the I guess the biggest learning curve was, how do I take it from something in a game, or a picture or something like that, or a 3D model, and make that into a real costume. And there are
That's the most fascinating part. Absolutely.
there's amazing programs out there. One's called Pepakura, and Pepakura is a Japanese paper folding program. So you can take any object, any 3D object, you put it into Pepakura, and it will unfold it for you, so you can make it out of paper.
Mm.
And so it's this unfolding technique that makes us able to make costumes out of all sorts of 3D models. So it doesn't have to just be a Space Marine or anything like that. It can be any type of 3D model. So that is one of the key tools that I use. Now, I started using Pepakura, but now I use a program called Armorsmith Designer. So Armorsmith Designer was created by Randy Kavanagh over in Canada. I think he's in Canada. One guy made this program for cosplayers. He's a cosplayer, and what it is you can put like it has a mannequin on the screen that you can put all of your own dimensions into this mannequin, and then you can
Wow.
load the Pepakura files, so these PDO files, directly into Armorsmith, and then put your armor onto the mannequin, and then resize it so it's exactly fitting you.
Oh no, that's amazing.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
so
I
no more.
have one friend that works with. I mean, he also makes such costumes. He made like Darth Vader helmet and C-3PO life size, all of that, and he works with 3D printing. One is with liquid kind of wax, actually. One is with plastic. So
Hmm.
he's also explaining me such things. So I'm extremely fascinated. But it seems that this method that you are now telling me about is a lot more advanced. So yeah,
Oh,
continue. Amazing.
it's so much simpler to do, especially when you're working with these sort of patterns where you have a like you know a 3D model rather than a physical object to work with. And so obviously when you've got game assets and 3D models of characters, turning that into reality is very difficult unless you can make a pattern out of it, just like a dress pattern. So
Mhm.
let's say you go to make a dress or a shirt or something like this, you still need a pattern to put down on the flat material and cut out
Yeah.
to stitch together. Exactly the same process, except we use EVA foam and contact cement. So we use glue.
Amazing.
Now the glue I use is a special type of glue. It's a very fast-acting contact cement that sticks very quickly and stays stuck for a long time. But so what we do is we print this pattern out on paper, So A4 paper or big sheets or whatever size printer you've got, and you cut it out and then you lay it down on the foam and you draw it out with a pen and then you cut it out with a knife. Um,
Wow.
and then you glue it together. So, and that's pretty much the simple side of it. There's a lot of techniques on how to make sure you don't get weird edges and things like that, and how to fill gaps when you've got problems, and the different grades of foam and different thicknesses that you can use for different techniques. Like for instance, oh, this little boy here.
Oh my god. Amazing. That's
Now
like
all
the
of
the Space Marine from Hell's Reach, basically.
well, it is. I mean, I made Richard Boylan a Hell's Reach helmet, and this is the same faceplate that I used for that, because I made a in order to make this skeleton face, I 3D printed a skull, then covered it in latex and everything, and made a mold out of it, and plaster of Paris and everything, and then I used stuff called foam clay, which is um, basically a putty version of EVA foam that dries to be foam.
Mm-hmm.
And then I push that in,
Amazing.
and so everything, like the only thing that's not foam on this helmet is obviously the pipes here and the plastic earpieces. Um, so even that skull up there it's foam. So all of
Yeah.
this, all of this is EVA foam. So if you can see, um, that's like even the
Yeah.
laurel here, that was done with a laser cutter.
Mm-hmm.
So you can
Is
use
it
also.
glue or is it one piece?
Oh no
Is
no,
it
this
glued
is,
on?
yeah, it's glued on. So everything with this is it's layer on layer on layer on layer. So when you're starting to make this sort of thing, you now I don't know if you can see, but it's really hard to see, but you can see some lines there.
Oh, they're visible. Yeah,
Yeah,
perfectly visible. Yes.
from a distance you can't see them at all. But they're what's called cut lines. So the pattern of this helmet actually looks like fingers going out when it's flat, and then you glue all those fingers together and it makes it curve together like that.
Ah,
It's
magic.
it's pretty tricky. So this is a fully wearable helmet. It's got fans built in as
Mhm.
well, so for cooling and everything, because foam is very, very hot. It's like wearing a wetsuit. It's terrible.
Oh,
It doesn't breathe.
I can imagine. Yeah.
So, but I mean, like you can see these blocks here. They're just layer on layer on layer, and
Mm-hmm.
that's just a solid block of foam. So you just glue them all together and then cut them into shape. So yeah, but
Awesome.
that's, I mean, you just get creative as you're going along. I mean, you always have screw ups. Like for instance, this guy here. I spent ages printing out this, only to find out that it kind of wasn't going to work.
Oi.
So, and this was supposed to be like, you know, hand controls, which was, it didn't kind of work too well as a
Mhm.
principle. And it's got rubber bands inside, which, it wasn't functional. So,
But you did it with with the final costume because you are able to move your fist as far as I saw. Oh, is this the mechanism?
this is the finger.
Oh,
So this is the fabled um, marine finger. All right. So just pulling on that one part means it curls up quite nicely. So
yeah, that's wow.
and that's how you can actually, control everything. So, like for instance, in the Terminator behind me, he's so big that when I'm standing in him, I'm on 32-inch stilts, so I'm really really high, the highest high heels you've
Hmm.
ever seen, uh,
Oh yeah.
and
I don't have such at all, so
I hope not, but
no, no, no.
when when I've got him on, my hands are in his elbows. He's at full arm stretch. My hands are actually tucked down inside his elbows. So
So
obviously I
that is
can't
the
reach the
real
hands.
lifestyle.
Yeah.
So
So
yeah.
I can't reach the hands at all. So I've got long carbon fiber arrows that I've made into rods, and with little rings on the end that control the fingers. So I've got little puppet
Um,
controls in the arms, and so it's there's you just get creative on how you make this stuff work, and sometimes you can find something else out there that somebody else has done. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. Use that. but
yeah, yeah.
but sometimes you just have to go ahead and stumble through it and make it work. So,
Oh,
hmm.
well, you did just an amazing job. I cannot say enough good things about it. And yeah,
Thank you.
I'm super impressed. Well, okay, so you started with the cosplay. You went on your first Comic Con. Which was that Comic Con, by the way?
That was Gold Coast Supernova. So Supernova at the Gold Coast, which was in Queensland, Australia, and it was in
Mhm.
March of 2017, I think, from memory. um, but yeah, so
Awesome.
so we went to the convention. We did the convention. Then we did a couple of little country-based conventions after that. But about 6 months after that convention was when we shot Guardsman. Um, now it was only a couple of months. Sorry, it was a little bit longer than 6 months. Or was it? Oh, I can't remember exactly. It was then, but a short while after that convention, I had a guy from the States reach out to me, and this guy's name was Bowman Modine, who was a producer of Guardsman. So he sent me a message on Facebook, and I was like, it's like, oh, we love your costume. We'd like to put you in a short film.
Oh my
And I'm, I'm,
gosh.
I'm going, I'm going. I just thought, yeah, sure, whatever. So I thought I'd,
That's
I'd, I'd play along with this. Why not? I've got nothing better to do right now. I'll just go with it. So so I said, I sent back a message saying, sure, yeah, why not? Let's do this. Um, and they said, oh, do you have any walk videos, as in movement videos and things you can send us? And so I had my original walk video when I tested the suit out, which was horrible. It was in the backyard. It was just, I mean, you on stilts with a costume wrapped around you, walking on grass on a slight angle is not the easiest thing to do in the world.
Yeah,
So
look at this starter right there. Just walking in the backyard. It's no
and
big every day. Just yeah, it happens there all the
yeah,
time.
just stroll along, no problem. So
Yeah.
anyway, I sent them that video, and they were so impressed that the ball kept rolling, and he ended up calling me on the phone, and we talked because I said, look, to be honest, I don't believe any of this, but you know that's great. So he called me up, we talked for a while, and so I said, yeah, all right, let's do this, let's keep moving forward. So he sent me a copy of the script, which was very long and complicated. So the original script for Guardsman was nothing like what we shot.
Oh,
Absolute,
something like
completely different story, totally different, and would have required considerably more actors, props, locations, scenes, everything. So it would have cost 10 times as much, and
oh God. How what did it cost now for just these minutes
seven
that it
thousand
was?
US for the whole thing.
Yeah, Jesus. Well, I
And
can imagine
but
how
that was
that. Yeah.
including my airfares to get over there and everything. So, it was done on such a small budget that people still don't believe it to this day that it could have been done on such a small amount of money. But there were a lot of favors pulled in. So, uh, so Bowman was the director. Oh, sorry, Bowman was the producer, and Richard Boylan was the director. Bowman's wife was the DP or lead camera cinematographer. Sarah Garth, she's fantastic. Did an amazing job. We had Alex Choate, who was also doing a favor. He was the art director, and he's right up there in Hollywood as far as prop making and cost and set design and things like that. To he's even worked on things like The Mandalorian and stuff like just some of the
Wow.
projects he's worked on are as incredible. And so then we had this whole range of top level people that worked for Warner Brothers or all these big companies, big movie making companies that were all came together just to do this little 5 minute film. And it was great.
Yeah, but it is freaking amazing to me.
It was, but I mean, as I said, the script started off completely different. We evolved from that, obviously through budget constraints, through 3 different versions of the script. So the final one that we had was what you actually saw on the Guardsman short, and originally it was supposed to be about 15-20 minutes long, and would have been very, very Warhammerish, which means that most people wouldn't have understood what it was. But because we had to shorten it down because of budget and time, etc., so we only had like one day to shoot this thing. This whole thing was shot in one single day.
Oh,
Um,
that was a big stressful moment for you, probably,
oh, it was
to be able
grueling.
to,
It was
to be
grueling.
in this costume and the whole day,
So,
probably.
anyway, we're getting up to about getting ready to fly over there and spend a week over in Hollywood, relaxing back and then making a film. And I say relaxing back, it wasn't relaxing back. It was a lot of stress and a lot of work. But in order to get over there, I had to bring the suit with me. I mean, that's 7'4" of Space Marine
Oh,
that
yeah.
luckily breaks down into smaller parts. But I still had to get it over to the States, and I'm in Australia.
Yeah,
So I
I cannot imagine this.
I looked up on how I was going to get it over there. Can I ship it? Can I put it on a courier? Because if it goes missing, if anything goes wrong, the whole thing's
Yeah,
finished. There's no second suit. And so everyone was
yep.
very, very panicky and about how I was going to get this suit over. Um, and obviously, I wasn't going to send it over weeks ahead of time uh, to people I'd never met. So I only knew them on by phone call and video chat. So yeah, I took it as check-in luggage on the plane.
What? Take your luggage.
So luckily,
How?
because my wife came with me, and so we had with international travel, you can take 2 bags each, and these 2 bags can't weigh more than 25 kilograms,
Yeah.
and so on. So I rang the airline 14 times to make sure this was all okay, and I custom made up out of refrigerator boxes these massive 1 meter cubed boxes. So they were 1 meter by 1 meter by 1 meter, and that
Oh,
held the whole costume and the Guardsman costume as well. So everything into these boxes. So I had 2 of these massive boxes. Plus, we had a bag each, so that was our check-in luggage because they didn't really have the restriction about size. But what I wanted to, I called them and made sure that they understood that I was taking this and it was very delicate and, I needed to get it over. So they told me exactly how wide the plane door or the cargo door on the plane was. And
oh.
so I made these boxes with 3 centimeters to spare to get it in through the door.
What a hustle! What an effort
It
just
was a
to get it
massive
there.
effort, and then obviously at the airport they took us down through a special area, and we went through a special security check where I could actually put the box, follow the boxes right to when they were going to get loaded on. And so we were up waiting for the flight up in the whatever that area is called again, the lounge, um,
Yeah.
and I'm just standing at the window, just watching the plane, and just waiting for these boxes to come out because I'm just panicking. It's like they're gonna get lost. And so I saw them getting loaded on the plane, and I could relax. Um,
Yeah.
and then when we got off the plane, I couldn't find them. They weren't in the normal luggage area. Oh, and I started to panic. And my wife sort of taps me on the shoulder and says, "Behind us." There's two great big boxes sitting in the corner.
Yeah, you can't
So
miss them.
no. Um, so yeah, basically there was a bit of a problem just about a week before we flew out too. I had Richard Boylan ring me up and say he was the director. He rings me up and he says, "Oh, Terry, look, I can't find a Guardsman costume." I said, "What do you mean you can't find a Guardsman costume? It's not really rocket science." He says, I said, "Look, you can get them on Etsy and all that sort of stuff, you know." He says, "No, I've looked. No one's got anything really available at such short notice, and nothing decent." And he said, "Reckon you can make one before the shoot?" I was just like,
Yeah.
"What? You want me to make a costume?" Okay, fine. Okay, all right, fine, I'll do it. So
At least it's small. At least it's very small.
well, if you notice that I mean, and I gather you're quite into Warhammer. Um,
Mhm.
the Guardsman costume is not the same as a normal Guardsman costume. The design is significantly different. So instead of the sort of squarish shoulders, they're very curved and rounded.
Oh yeah.
Instead of those great big boob chest plates, square chest plates that they've got, there's more angles and cuts to it, so it's more streamlined.
Mm.
It's more like
Yeah.
what I believe an armor, like a Guardsman armor should be, versus that cheap crappy stuff that unfortunately most of the Guardsmen in Warhammer 40k have to wear. So Richard did give me a little bit of creative license, and the shins and everything looks like it's close enough to be what it needs to be. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, actually, it's immediately recognizable as a guardsman,
yep,
you can
but
say.
but if you notice, I mean, there's a significant difference to the thing. Like the Aquila is in the center underneath the plates instead of up on the top. Um, just the style of it's more like a flak, like a bulletproof vest more than a you know something made out of spare parts that Marines didn't use.
Yeah.
uh,
It looks
so
pretty great. I'm looking at the picture right now that I made instead of black bars on the top and bottom of the screen. So yeah, I'm looking at it and yeah, it's great.
oh yes, there it goes. It's down. It's on the bottom of your feed.
Yeah.
So down. I think I'm pointing the right direction. Oh, there we go, down there.
Perfect. Yes.
so so yes, it was a lot. It was interesting. Like they gave me the creative license to be able to change things around a little bit, but obviously stick with stuff. And that's like my Marine. My Marine is not like he's an Angels of Vengeance Space Marine, but when I made him, I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know anything about the chapters and bits and pieces. I chose Angels of Vengeance because it was black and had skulls. So I
Good
literally
choice.
I literally went down through all the chapters. There's a place on the web where you can go where they've got like 1,000 odd chapters, and
Yeah, the Warhammer.
yeah, and all the different color schemes and things. So I'm scrolling down. I've gone, yeah, black, no, black. Oh yeah, that's okay. Black with wings, black with this, black with that. Black. Oh, black with skulls. I like that. And so I knew nothing about the lore, knew nothing about anything like that when I made him. So even to the point where I mean, you can see up behind me the arrow on his shoulder.
Mhm.
So on that shoulder, yep. Um, now, as most people that play the game know, it's supposed to be a double-headed arrow. Well,
Mhm.
mine only goes one direction because the picture I had it only showed that style, as in like you could only see the front. So I didn't realize there was another arrowhead on the back of it. So I
Oh,
never made an arrowhead on the back.
I, I'm sure it's no problem. At
Oh
the end of
no,
the day,
well,
this is
oh the
not
problem
really
that
important.
that whole thing doesn't exist in 40k. So many people ask me, it's like, why has he only got an arrow going one direction? I said, Suicide Squad, he's fine.
He's a special guy, and it's just how it happened. They didn't have enough paint in this world where they painted him. So yeah,
So,
that's how I explain it.
well, I'm just looking at your chat, and there's a whole bunch of people asking different things. And yes, you can ask some questions shortly. Let me finish the little stories, and then we'll get to some questions.
Yeah,
So
yeah, sure.
getting back to the Guardsman shoot. So we frantically got everything done, made the costume, and it was up to scratch. And those that have seen the Guardsman short film, some of you may have, may have not, but this is the actual gun from the shoot. It's made of foam.
Awesome.
It's literally made of foam. And one thing that drives me
Flexible.
one thing that drives me nuts is there is an aluminium rod inside of here, but because I only had a small piece of aluminium, it didn't go all the way through.
Mhm.
And this is, yeah, it's all foam, and this is PVC plumbing pipe.
Oh.
So it's just all about paint job. That's all it is. It's all about paint
Yeah,
work.
that's what I said to my reaction, that because it looks so with the substance to the materials, that's why I was like, well, this looks so effective on screen when you look at it, that I'm like, oh my gosh, this looks so real. But at the same time, I've seen some CGI works that looks, very close to real. So I'm like, my eyes is like confused at the moment because it's so cinematic and everything.
That
And
many people thought it was CGI. The Space Marine was CGI, and the Guardsman, even the Guardsman was CGI. It's like, no, that's a real guy. His name's Eric. He's awesome.
oh, he
But
looks real, yeah.
so even things like, you see these little things.
Mm-hmm.
They're googly eyes.
Yeah.
Those little googly eyes that you can get.
Googly eyes.
Googly eyes.
Uh,
So you get them in the cheap stores and things like that. You stick them on, and you give it a shake, and the eyeballs go round and round and round.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So we use whatever is available to make it look like, and then I use house paint to
House.
finish. Yeah, exterior house paint, because it's all rubber based paint, and it's extremely durable, and you can get it any color you like. So
Awesome.
all of this is house paint. So that's why you can scratch it, you can throw it around, you can do all sorts of things, and it doesn't destroy. Um, so
Where it certainly gives it a very like hefty look, which is important, especially when it's a weapon. It has to look like it has some weight to it.
yeah,
So
but
that
it's
changes
it's
it.
it's so light and easy, and I mean, it's like there's the handle. It's
Yeah,
rubber.
reminds me of the 90s shows where when they bumped into a weapon or a sword, it just bends.
Well, that's the bit that drove me nuts was after we after we did it and it came out. I watched the short so many times. It was just, yeah, I watched it over and over because it was really cool. But one of the things that
Oh,
drove me nuts was when he puts the gun up to his shoulder and shoots, he does that and it bends the gun a little bit. And I've just gone, no, my gun bent. I mean, you have to really watch it carefully to see it, but yeah, it was one of those little things that obviously making the props and the costumes and everything, it got under my skin a bit. But
oh, I get you because you're the creator of all of that, and and you actually notice the details because you look for them. You're
you look,
intentionally
yeah,
like
you
looking
you
for
know where
them.
you've gone wrong, and you're just like, no, no, I didn't want to do it like that. But
Oh, it's very, I mean, when he does that, it's a very effective tense scene because he's watching at the aliens and he's trying to see them in the dark and shoot them. So we are immersed in this moment and we can't notice. So don't worry.
so yeah,
Yeah,
basically, it's the idea of movie props, and Alex Choate was on set when, obviously he saw all my stuff, and he was blown away. He said, this is really, really well made. And I've gone, really? I think it's crap. But sure. He said most Hollywood props, they'd be lucky if they don't fall apart during the scene.
Oy.
So as long as it lasts for that one scene, who cares? Goes in the bin
Oh,
afterwards.
I get that. Yes, I have a sword from the movie Spartacus from 2004, I think, or six. That was filmed here in Bulgaria. They film a lot of
Hmm.
films here, like Rambo, The Expendables, 300, and all of that. And my brother works on the practical effects,
Oh,
so
nice.
he brought me this sword. It's like aluminium slash iron made sword. So you can see the little chaps and just defects on the blade because they hit it, when
Hmm.
they simulate the fights. But it's durable. It's pretty durable because they actually have to hit
They've
each
got to hit
other
it and
with.
make sure it doesn't break. Yeah.
Yeah,
So, but yeah, when they've got props that they have to use, then they try to make them a little bit better. But if it's just something that's seen in the background or picked up or something like that, they don't care.
yeah.
They'll 3D print it. It's like this one. That's just
Ah,
a 3D print, and that will do perfectly fine as a prop for somebody to hang on to and wield around the place.
well,
Um,
that's a whole piece, probably, right?
it's just a solid piece.
Yeah,
There's the trigger doesn't work or anything like that. But it's just the paint work. So
it's
um,
awesome.
comes down to just making the paint the right paint, the right colors,
Yeah.
the right tones, the right all the right bits and pieces. So
Okay, so yeah, we can get back to, if you like, to the filming process and how did you get into the role of this awesome Astardi and how you were supposed to move and all those cool things, because on camera you look so freaking epic, like the guardsman is lying there in full despair and you appear out of the darkness. You're just like, I'm the badass of the badasses, gonna kill those Xenos right now. Just don't worry, you little friend.
so the suit is 7'4", right? So obviously that one shot where you see the Marine walking in, he's like, so it's being shot from behind. You see the back of his helmet, top of his shoulder, and it just looks incredible. Yeah, Sarah can't get up that high.
Oh,
So, I mean, her camera was huge, big, massive rig. It took three people to lug this thing around. Um, so there was no way she was getting up there that high. So I took my legs off. So on the
you're
if you watch the making video of Guardsman, so there's
oh,
actually
I'm halfway. I have to finish it. I'm halfway done.
if you go right to the end of it, you'll see me without legs. So because I'm on stilts in the costume, I'm on 15-inch stilts, um, which obviously gives me the height because I'm not 7'4". Uh, so, but I had to take my legs off so that she could have the camera at the right height to film me walking in, and then I had to pretend to be big and striding, and it was a lot of
Yeah.
fun. I mean, um, but it was probably the most grueling time I've ever been in costume. I got to get out of costume, I think either once or twice, I can't quite remember, during the whole day,
Oh, jeez.
and into the night. So we actually started filming it around 9 in the morning. By the time I was like, they asked me to get in costume by about 10 o'clock in the morning, and then we kept going till 9 o'clock that evening. So it was long. Now, and I think I got a lunch break at some point.
You are a hero. That's what I'm gonna
No,
tell you.
no.
You're a hero.
Okay, in the costume there are fans in order to keep you cool. So in the helmet, as you
Mhm.
saw with that helmet before, except in the actual Space Marine helmet, there's four fans in there. But in the body, there's also a big fan in the back, which draws air in through the backpack and then blows it around my chest to keep me cool. And yeah, 5 minutes into the shoot, it failed. The body fans stopped working.
No, no. Jesus
So
Christ.
now here is the worst thing: is we were in a warehouse which had been blacked out completely. Okay, so every window, every light source had been covered up. Um, we couldn't even have fans or air conditioners or anything going because we had smoke machines there to create the ambiance, to create that atmosphere.
Yeah.
It was 35 degrees Celsius outside in LA summer.
Mhm.
And so Los Angeles summer, it was a hot day. It was 42 degrees inside
Oh no,
because
no,
everything was
no.
closed off. Now I'm sitting there in a sauna suit. Inside my suit was probably closer to 60 degrees. It was now I'm probably exaggerating, but it was hot.
Oh yeah,
And
I'm sure because 30 is hot even when you're without clothes, let alone with, let alone 40 degrees with this
it was
costume.
it was
Yeah.
crazy. I mean, there
Real.
was just so much. Yeah, it was just so damn hot. I was continuously sweating so much that at one point Richard Boylan said, Terry, you know, can you see where your mark is? Where I was supposed to go walk up and then stop. I said, yeah, where that big
Yeah.
pile of sweat is. Because I'd stood there for long enough that it was running out of my suit. It was
Oh,
pooling up in the bottom of the boots.
oh my God. I really
So
feel for you, damn it.
it was. So at the end, we ended up going to a bar for a celebratory drink, and I literally just had 3 pints of beer, one after another. Straight
Oh
down.
wow.
I'm good. That was
Yeah, give
that
me the
was that
whole
was
beer, I
rehyd
say.
it was rehydration and painkiller at the same time.
Oh yeah. Like I've
So
said, you're a hero, so yeah.
oh no 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 no.
Absolutely.
I just wanted to do well. I was having so much fun, but I had a lot of people looking out for me too. Like they were always concerned that I was going to fall over or something like that because obviously if I fell over that would damage the suit and then that would be the end of it. So Richard wanted me to do some crazy things like as you saw there was a lot of debris and rubble on the ground. I had to
Mm-hmm.
walk through that rubble a couple
Right.
of a couple of times, and so we realised it was extremely unstable for me to be walking through that rubble. So they had to shoot that whole section twice over in order to get it right. And this is where Alex came in, being the art director and director of continuity, which means that everything had to be put back in its same place. So they would sweep
Oh
all the
yeah.
rocks away. I would walk in, do my thing about 100 times, and then they would put all the rocks back to where they were supposed, to exactly where they were supposed to be.
Yeah.
And because I mean, well, continuity is an interesting thing. You know how you're watching a movie or you're watching a TV show or something, and they've got like a glass, like a glass of drink on the table, and
Oh yeah.
it goes from one shot to the next, and it changes. That's
Oh yeah. Most
yeah.
recently we had this coffee moment on Game of Thrones. There was like a carton glass, not glass, carton mug from a coffee shop nearby, like next to Khaleesi's table. So in one shot there it was there, and one shot there was nothing,
There
but
was
you can
nothing
see
there.
it,
So,
and
yep.
yeah, it was all over the internet. So Game of Thrones, they drink coffee from not Starbucks, but something similar.
Some other place. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's that making sure that everything is where it's supposed to be, and like the level of like the amount of drink that's in the glass. So you'll see a wine glass with wine in it, and the one scene they're talking away, blah blah blah, and then cut to a different angle, and then it's half the volume, or it's more full, or so the person in charge of continuity takes care of making sure that that's exactly where it's supposed to be. So
Yeah.
there's none of that happening. And so rocks on the ground, things like that, they're all exactly where they're supposed to be. And Alex was fantastic at it. But there was that one, as you saw, I came in, stormed in, shot with the bolter, uh,
Yeah.
um,
Bam bam.
reached out, grabbed the Hormagon. I think it's a
Period.
Hormagon. Yep.
Oh.
I think they're
Oh my
actually
god, period?
Yep, it's a Hormigón Tyranid. That I found out that afterwards. So grabbed it as it jumped towards me, and yeah, so squashed it and then spun around and threw it. So that big spin around that I did there, all the way around. Richard
Yeah.
wanted that done in one shot. He didn't want to go, take a turn. Yeah, we'll move the camera. Take a turn. We'll move the. He wanted me to do that in one go. I'd never in my life done a pirouette in a costume on stilts
Oh my.
in the dark with a helmet that I only had 20% visibility anyway.
Oh
In
Jesus.
that sort of temperature with very little lighting. So
Uh,
I'm like, okay, if you want me to do this, make sure that there's people just outside of the camera view, like a lot of them, to run in if they see me to start to tilt.
yeah.
Because I've never done this, but yep, I ended up doing that probably close to 100 times over. Just
100 times
well,
just to get it right, probably
just to
the
get it
movement.
right. Yep. And
Yeah,
the
because
biggest
you have to be
problem,
very confident in the movement. So
yeah,
that was
exactly.
frustration.
And I'm not an actor. I'm not trained, so I'm not even a trained, stunt person for costumes or anything like that. I was just a cosplayer that built a costume and still was learning how to walk in it. Um, so yeah, I had to do things 10 times more than an actual actor would have to do. And that's when when Eric was doing his parts, laying on the ground, giving his monologue, etc. Um, yeah, I was just standing back going, wow, that's impressive. I mean, he literally just rattled it out. And he says, okay, well, I want to try it with a slightly different, intonation here. Okay. And then off he'd go again. And it'd be just exactly the same with that slight difference.
Yeah,
I was I
absolutely
was I was
fascinating.
stunned. I was fascinated. It was amazing.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, it was so much fun to be on set with all of that happening and watching that. And unfortunately, I suppose me being there rather than a professional did drag it on longer than it should have because well, I didn't know what I was doing. But they did originally want to put somebody in my suit instead of myself, and I said, look, it would take them too long to get used to it, and they'd have to be exactly my size. Um,
yeah, it's built for you. I mean, you build it for yourself, so
exactly.
it has to fit perfectly. Otherwise, it's gonna be even more dangerous for the suit. I mean, for the person to fall,
Hmm.
and yeah,
And I
to
mean, the
fall
suit, the
like
suit,
that. No.
the whole suit, including everything, only weighs about 20 kilos, so it's not that heavy. Unlike the Terminator, which weighs about 50 kilos, and is quite heavy.
Oh, oh my gosh, 50 kilos. Oh, Jesus.
So, I mean, you can see the Terminator behind me here. It's like, that's this guy.
Yeah.
Now, he's actually compressed down because he stands 10 foot tall, um, and my ceilings are only 8 foot. So I've had to, if you see where his belt is, that's almost the level of where his shins are. So he's sort of
Yeah,
squashed right down.
I
But
see that his thighs are basically missing.
to give you an idea of the size of him,
Oh my gosh.
this
I think
is
that
a shoulder.
I think I can get into that and fit.
Yes, yes. When I've got the chest sitting on the ground, I can climb into it and probably have a nice picnic.
Exactly.
So it's quite huge. And but again, this is all just foam. Even though it looks incredible and etc., it's just foam and paint. And all
Well,
these letters were cut out. They're all foam, but they were all cut out with a
mhm.
laser. So I didn't have to sit there and try and cut each letter out myself. I have a laser that sits just over there.
It looks
um,
amazing.
all of this was hand cut out and done, so all the scroll work, I just drew it out on the foam and said that looks about right, and then figured out if I just folded this 5 millimeter foam over like this and then glued it down on itself, it looks really good. So you just
Oh
make this
yeah.
stuff up as you go. So this skull is 3D printed, but all of this is foam. So even these bolts and everything, they're all foam. So see, flexible. And yeah, so the whole thing is Oh yeah, this skull. So the skull itself is 3D printed, but the bones they're all carved out of foam.
Oh, and then it's glued
Yep,
together.
glued together and glued down.
It looks, I mean, so professional because it is. It's a craftsmanship of a art piece, and yeah.
But I mean, you learn how to do these things. You just there's so many people out there to teach you how to do this stuff. That will do it for free. They'll teach you for free. You don't have to pay lots of money. I didn't. So hang on. Oh, I'll just put this back up here again, and you learn how to put this stuff together. So the engineering behind it is quite massive as well.
Look at that arm. Oh my gosh.
So as you can see, the mechanism inside the fingers is the same as what I
Mm-hmm.
just showed you before with this one here. Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So when I
I
reach down
can tell.
inside here and grab fingers, I can move fingers
This is
around.
just absolutely unbelievable.
So and that's all foam. So it's all foam. That's all it is.
Well, yeah, but I mean, that's awesome material to make things from. So many possibilities.
It
You
is. It
just have
is.
to know how to do it and to be a good artist, which
No,
you
no. Look,
absolutely are.
I completely suck at art. I can't do art, but
Ah,
I can follow a pattern. So
well, it's still art though. So you do have to have some kind of a sense to it. So when you learn something, you have to still have this ability to apply it in a adequate way. So I think that in that sort of
I
a
guess
way,
yeah,
you
true, true. Yep, very true.
you are a craftsman. That's, I mean, if you are like some kind of a super talentless idiot, I'm not sure that you're gonna be able to pull this out. So don't sell yourself short. I mean, any kind of a effort that produces this kind of a result is totally admirable. So
But I mean,
I'm
it's
still,
just again, it comes down to just patience and learning, learning the techniques and screwing it up. I mean, I when I made the marine, I think I must have went through twice, three times as much material as I should have, because I made things and then went, that's not right. Throw it in the bin, start again, and so you just keep screwing it up until you get it right. That's all I do.
so that
So,
is the process that everybody will go through if they're learning something for the
mm.
first time. It's
And there's other
totally
things
normal.
like if
Oh,
you
what is?
if you like Star Trek, so
Oh, that's from Star Trek.
yep, Star Trek phaser from Discovery.
Oh yeah, now I remember. I've seen these.
So that's
Oh
just
yeah,
3D printed as well,
and it looks so metally, but it's not.
and it's painted with gloss black paint, and then I used a graphite powder to rub on it, which is a technique I learnt from another person who was doing sword blades. So they paint it gloss black, and then they rub this graphite powder, like from the
Mhm.
pencils, from the pencils you use at school. So you get that
Mhm.
powder, and then you rub it on, and it turns out to be shiny and beautiful like that.
Yeah, it looks metal as metal could look. I
Exactly,
mean,
it looks amazing. So I mean,
totally.
and that's some of these little bits and pieces you learn along the way. Other like I've got cosplay builders that I talk to regularly. I mean, at least a couple of times a week sometimes, and we exchange ideas and principles and practices and yeah, we share. And that's like on 40K cosplay, it's all about sharing. You ask a question, you're going to get 20, 30 people comes chiming in with, try it this way, try it this way. I did it this way. This is the result. That sort of thing. So it's
Amazing. Yeah, the community
really
is
helpful.
helpful.
And I mean, the amount of people that have now built Space Marine costumes, have built Guardsman costumes, have built Sisters of Battle, have built Inquisitors, and whole ranges of different things. Terminators even. Um, it's just incredible. Since that whole since Guardsman, there's been just this influx of 40K cosplay that's
So
sweeping the
basically, you
world.
inspired a lot of people because you
I
did.
don't, I don't, I think I just got in at the right time. I don't think I inspired anyone. I think I just got in early enough that that we're at, we're at the beginning of it when it all started to happen. But a lot of people have gotten interested through, through the game itself, through fan-made stories and videos and things like that. We look at Astartes, that was amazing. There's such an incredible animation. Then
Oh
you
yeah.
then you've got things like Angels of Death that's coming out soon, which is the animated series by Games Workshop, which is also, by the way, being produced and directed by Richard Boylan and Bowman Modine. So they got
Oh,
asked
that's
by GW
awesome.
to do that project because of Guardsman. So
Oh,
which
that I
was
didn't know that. That's actually pretty damn important. That means that there's some really talented
mhm.
people behind it. Now I'm more excited about it.
And there's a
Thank you for
massive
letting
amount.
us know.
I mean, I believe that the animation team is in your neighborhood. So the people that are doing a lot of the animation, a lot of the 3D modeling and things like that for it are all around the Eastern European bloc. Um,
Oh,
yeah, so most of it's happening right in your neighborhood. so,
oh, that's awesome.
but
Well,
this,
nobody contacted me yet, but I'm ready. If somebody's like, "Oh, that girl's from Bulgaria," "Oh, we're here from this region," so hello.
I'll be a part of it. So,
Yeah.
and that's we're hoping in the future to actually do a Guardsman movie. So there was rumors that we were going to be doing it like last year, year before, etc. But basically, thanks to COVID, everything sort of stopped. Um, but we're still working on Games Workshop to get the permission to do a full-length feature film with their blessing. We don't need their money; we just need their blessing. so
Oh, you have to be
um,
crazy not to greenlit such a thing. You're gonna do great. I mean, awesomeness.
it's
They're gonna be.
it's
It's gonna be produced. They have to do it.
Well, I mean, we've talked about it at length. So Bowman, Modine, and myself have talked about it at length, and we're probably going to need around 20 Guardsman costumes. About I think we worked out something like 6 Space Marines, a couple of Terminators, a Plague Marine. So to give you an idea of what's going to be in there, some Sisters of
Oh yeah.
Battle. Um, so that was the sort of the the costume list that was being thrown around. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of stuff happening, a massive amount of stuff, and the movie was going to tie in with the movie short. So it
Oh,
was literally you'd see the lead up to it, and then then would be the movie short part, and then would be the follow on for the rest of the film. And
oh my God.
and I believe uh, the lead guardsman was a girl,
Was a girl.
a
Oh.
female guardsman. So,
Mm, okay, that's awesome.
and she was, I'm pretty sure, like Bowman had told me that he'd picked an Australian actress to do it, and she was, yeah, she was fantastic, all that sort of stuff. So the project is still in the planning stage. It hasn't gone away. We're just slowly moving forward, very slowly.
Oh yeah. As long as you don't stop, there's still a chance to be fulfilled. So
Oh, there's always a
just the
chance there. So
yeah.
yeah, so all right, well that's me in a nutshell and Guardsman. The costumes, the bits and pieces. In cosplay, honestly, we make things out of whatever you can get your hands on. It doesn't have to be made out of expensive EVA foam or fiberglass or latex molded resin casting, blah blah. You don't have to do all that sort of stuff. You can just go simple. Some of the best costumes I've seen have been made out of cardboard.
As long as it looks okay.
As long as it looks okay, as long as you make sure that you keep things in proportion and make sure that make sure it looks proper how it's supposed to look or how you want it to look.
Yeah, and I'm super curious about the Sisters of Battle costume that you have behind you because it's a female figure. How do you do that? I mean, do you scan the person that's gonna wear it because it has breasts and everything? How do you do that to
So
fit?
so what I did with that one is I started off. I didn't like the original Sisters of Battle costume. It's so bulky and ugly, and it's got these funny boobs. I mean, I don't know if it's
Funny boobs.
have a close look at the Sisters of Battle from Warhammer. You'll see that they've got. I mean, literally, it's like it's straight out of something not right. I mean, they're just round. They're just like these boobs. They're balls. They're not curved or anything like that. And then they've got the fleur de lis on on the boobs. It looks
Oh,
terrible.
have to
It might.
check how it actually looked. Yeah,
Yeah. It. I
but
mean
I
it.
I have some kind of a memory. Yes.
Oh. Yeah, I mean, honestly, it looks horrible, and it's. Um, it might look really, really good on a miniature, but when you scale it up, forget it. It looks terrible. So
Oh yeah.
so what I did is I'm trying to remember exactly whose pattern. I think it's Kamui. So there's a German girl called Kamui Cosplay. She puts up patterns and bits and pieces, and she had a female breast chest piece pattern, which is
Oh
just a
yeah, I
blank.
know her. Yeah, she does amazing stuff. She's
Yep.
very famous, pretty much in the cosplay world. She did also Xena Warrior Princess costume, and I looked at that and I was like, okay, I'm not gonna do that, but somebody else gonna do it for me because yeah, it's a lot
I
of
can
work,
I
a
can
lot of.
I can teach you how to do every last little bit. It's not a problem. It's just taking a little bit of patience and just working through it.
Yeah,
So
but I also have to sew the leather, so it's a leather and it's a foam. It's two things.
yeah, yeah, and you trade services with somebody that can sew leather. You just go, I'll make this for you if you can sew this for me. That's
Yeah,
how we
actually,
also work.
I have here one guy that makes Iron Man costumes, Predator, RoboCop. I mean, he does everything himself, from
Hmm.
Bulgaria, and he can do it. But he also has to outsource the sewing, but still very very expensive. So I just like put it into the future somewhere when I have
Yep, future
to throw
project.
like yeah 1,000 and something Bulgarian leva. So yeah.
Oof, that's
We'll
expensive.
see.
The other thing you
It's
can do is go to your secondhand clothing shops and just find leather, or like leather jackets and things like that that you can buy cheap or get for free, and cut them up.
damn. It's not gonna look as good, damn it.
You just dye the
Ah,
leather. It does. It
hmm.
trust me. It's the type of things that we work with is everything ranging from scrap through to, off the shelf bought material, custom design stuff sometimes. But sometimes you just got to use whatever you can. I mean, I've cut up old jackets and bits and pieces to get specific leather or a specific type of material for something. I've taken safety helmets for construction, pulled them apart, pull the insides out so I can put inside helmets. Just all sorts of things like that. So you just get as creative as you have to. I mean, I've got literally. I mean, you can sort of see a little bit of a mess here, but I've got boxes and boxes of stuff that I'm just keeping in case I'm going to use. Just
Yeah, for spare parts, materials, for
yep, just
everything.
just all sorts of things, and you'd be surprised what you use where. Um, so yeah, I mean, over the last 3 years, I've gathered all this crap together. I really need to clean it out sooner or later. But so yes,
Oh,
where
it's
where
pretty.
where were we? We sort of drifted off into.
Yeah, it's a pretty awesome showcase. So behind you, it looks like you're on a set or something. So
Well, I did clean up last night before. I thought this place is such a disaster. There's only barely enough room to walk through or work on the floor. So, which is I do most of my work on the floor because when you're working with big costumes, you don't have much room.
oh yeah,
So,
I know, I
but
know.
yes, oh, we were talking about the
Yeah, the Sisters of
the
Battle
Sisters of Battle.
armor. And yeah.
So I started with this chest pattern. and then I just sort of extrapolated from there. Now, the boobs on there are really nicely shaped, etc. I did that with a styrofoam ball and a heat gun.
Oh.
So, to be exact, I don't have the exact styrofoam ball. This one's a lot bigger, but get these from the cheap shop. That's that's
Hmm.
that's way too big for a boob. Uh,
Yeah.
but
Unless if you're Paula Anderson, yeah.
exactly. But see, you use whatever you need to. So I'll heat the foam up with a heat gun. I'll put it over here, and I'll keep heating it, and then I'll stretch it and bend it, and then it'll hold its shape. So I use a much smaller one than this, obviously, for making the chess pieces. But then you just you curve it into shape, and there you have it. So you have a nice, comfortable chess piece to wear. And
Awesome.
then it's just about putting all the designs and bits and pieces on it. The shoulders. So I looked at the actual shoulders of a Sister of Battle. Then I looked at the shoulders of the Saint Celestine model.
Hmm.
And so that actual costume is based on Saint Celestine, and like the black version of Saint Celestine, with a lot of changes and mods. Um,
Hmm.
but it also comes with 14.5-foot expandable wings.
Oh wow.
So,
How did you do? How did you do the wings, by the way? Because here we also have a Comic Con. It's called Adventure Comic Con. A lot of people come from Eastern Europe and Europe in general.
mhm.
Actually, it's pretty big. It's one of the biggest. The Romania one, it's even bigger, but yeah, it's big. So there are some cosplayers that are trying to do Mercy. That's a character from Overwatch. If you heard
Oh,
about
yep,
this
yep.
game.
Mhm.
So yeah, one of my friends actually did Mercy. Some other girl also did Mercy. They were just going for different versions, and there was two different types of wings that they both did separately. It was very interesting, like from plexiglass, from plastic. They have to expand and
Oh,
compress.
yep.
Very interesting, complicated as
And
well.
and that's the thing. Sometimes you'll get static costumes and props that don't do anything, like this one. Other times you'll get things, like with moving parts and electronics and lights and smoke and all the bits and pieces. So you can get as simple or as complicated as you want. And so with the wings, I mean, my wife made her own wings. I just helped her out with a bit of the engineering, but she actually made them, and yeah, it took her about a year and a half of lots of procrastination and wanting to quit, but I just kept pushing until she got it done, and now she has an amazingly huge set of wings, um, with real feathers. So there's real feathers on there as well. But if anybody wants to make wings, they're very expensive to make, very expensive. So I
I
think
can.
I think it cost us close to about 1,800 Australian dollars just to make those wings.
Jesus Christ!
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's expensive.
And how
So
much for the costume, for the basic costume?
oh, for that,
Yeah,
counting the foam material, etc. I'd probably say that's less than $100 worth
really? That's
in
pretty good.
in material. But then you've got the labor and
Mhm.
and all the rest of it. So, but as far as material and paint and everything, it's probably under $100. Um, $10
Well, it's not
$10
like
pair of
cheap,
shoes.
but
Um, and
it's
then
not also that.
there's no bodysuit or anything underneath that one, which is good. Um, so, oh, is the sword real or foam? The sword is
It's
actually
always, it should be foam because otherwise you won't be let in into any convention
the
if
the
it was
sword is
real.
actually made of stuff called Maxi T board, which is the same stuff that they make boat floors out of.
Oh,
So
okay,
boat
that's
floors
interesting.
have to be light and they have to be able to float, obviously, and
Hmm.
it has to be strong. So I came across this material, which is like polystyrene, the same stuff the ball is made out of, except it's compressed really, really hard. And
Yeah.
and so yeah, that's what this is. And so it's very easy to carve. It's very easy to shape. but it's also strong,
Yeah, it's not
and it's
wingling.
and it's very light. So, and there's a 3D printed handle, a little bit of EVA foam just on there, just to give it that look, and that's it.
Oh,
Simple.
it's awesome.
Painted silver
It's
with a
great
little
to
bit of
see.
airbrushing up the middle to give the different look, and that's it.
Yeah, it looks pretty real. Pretty,
No, it
as
doesn't look.
always.
It's the good thing
I
is
mean,
you can
yeah,
like getting things to look real is hard. Doing things from Warhammer 40k where it doesn't have to look real, that's fine. You got
it's still not,
plenty of
you
flexibility.
know, it has this feeling of how to say it. I mean, it's not real as a real functioning sword like battle ready. I watch a
Mm,
lot of channels that cover real swords from Vikings era, other different
hmm
eras. They test them, all of that. So battle ready and like sword for decoration are also two different things. And in 40K, although it doesn't look like real, I mean that it looks real in a way that, well, you can say that is a sword from this universe and you perceive it as real in that sense. I don't know if that makes
Yeah, no, it makes perfect
much
sense.
sense.
It's if
Yeah,
it's so a lot of fantasy stuff, people will see it and they'll forget about the paintwork and the bits and it may not look real, but it's real to them because it comes from that universe. And
yeah,
they
yeah,
know the weapon, they know the prop, or the costume or whatever it is. So it doesn't have to have all those perfect fine details to make it look weathered and realistic. A lot of the
yeah.
times. So, but yeah, I mean, there's a lot of props and bits and pieces that I've got floating around that I've just made and then thrown away.
It's about the process, the learning curve, and eventually you get to this point where you just know your stuff and you're not making as much as mistakes, and you don't throw out so much material. And
Exactly, and
yeah,
I mean, it's a hobby. It's something fun to do, and it's a learning curve. Like right now, I'm learning how to make prosthetics. So
hmm.
latex prosthetics, and I'm learning how to sculpt for the first time in my life. So I'm sculpting with clay. And I'm horrible at it. I'm bloody horrible at it. But
Oh no, you're gonna get good. I know it.
yeah, but
You're gonna get,
it's gonna take me time. But
of
that's
course,
and
every good
that
thing.
exactly practice, practice, practice. So no one's ever good at something straight away. You always got to
Of course,
practice.
of course, yeah. I drew this Astarte from my Golden Astartes server and I put it into CorelDRAW. That's a vectorized, for vectors program. And
Yep,
now it's
I
way better, but in the beginning it was like this. You
that's
know it?
cool. You drew that?
Well, yeah.
You're a great artist. I can't draw to save my life. I can't draw at all.
So now it's way better. Now it's actually way better than this. And I'm still working on it. So,
So okay, get yourself a program called Inkscape. Inkscape is
Inkscape.
Inkscape is a free version of CorelDRAW.
Oh, really? Well,
Yep.
that's interesting.
And the beautiful thing is, something like that, you'll scan that in, and then you just go straight up to convert bitmap to vector, and boom, you've got all your lines.
Well, I can do this with CorelDRAW, but it's not perfectly precise in whatever version I tried. So I do have to do some things by hand. I mean, if I want to be like perfectly, like smooth and everything, I
hmm
still have to do it by hand. But
Oh no,
yeah,
have
I
just
know
have a look at
about
Inkscape.
it.
It's free and it's extremely powerful for that. It's what we use for all our 2D line work for lasers and stuff like that. So because when you're working with lasers, you do exactly that. So if I wanted to take that picture you just showed me and um, have that burnt into an object or cut that out of acrylic or something like that, um, then it has to be vector lines. And so
Yeah.
I would take that, scan that in, um, convert it to a vector, and then just touch up the little bits and pieces. And it would take
Okay.
take no more than 10-15 minutes to have it all ready.
Yeah, I guess everything has to be a vector in order to,
hmm
to be traced and then.
Yeah.
created
So
afterwards.
a laser is like a pen. It just simply just follows a line. So if you've got like a whole bunch of lines, it'll try and follow every one of those lines.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm familiar with these processes, so that is awesome.
But that's a really
Okay.
good picture. I like that picture. I'm gonna have
Well,
to get you to draw my Terminator for me.
oh, well, I can do it, but there's a lot of better artists than me. I basically stopped at 14, and since then I haven't really progressed much in my my talent in that respect because I'm doing other things visually and I just
Hmm.
jump on one art to the other to the other. I'm just like multifunctional. So eventually drawing things were just too tiring for my eyes and I just had to quit it. And video making was more like
Fun.
feeling, I mean, it felt like the next step. So I just went there and I haven't drawn anything for a few years. And then I decided to make my own chapter homebrew. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna draw and I'll start. Yeah, and I just started. And it turns out that I still remember how to do it, but I
So
won't say I'm very.
what's your favorite chapter?
I'm still have to. I mean, I have to make a top 10, so I have not decided yet. I have to learn all of them, like really precisely. Yesterday, I made a video like Imperial Fists. Well, actually, you watched that, I think.
Hmm. Yep.
That stream. Yeah. So I explain also there that I still have to learn that so I can make like a top 20 without the two places where we're missing two Primarchs. So yeah, I just want to really like learn them, and then I'm gonna make and decide, which is my favorite because I'm really, I just want to be very accurate in my decision and to measure them by qualities and not just be like, oh, those are red. I pick red. Like everybody, like, oh,
Hey,
these
look,
are the
look, look, look!
coolest. And I'm
I
like,
picked Angels of Vengeance because they were black with skulls. Now, and in the lore, they had about this much written about it. So about one paragraph about the Angels of Vengeance. You go have a
that's
look now.
very
There's big stories about the Angels of Vengeance because Guardsman just excited everybody, and they realized it was Angels of Vengeance, and so people started writing stuff about it. So it made it more and more and more and more. But I've talked to so many people about, how do you choose your chapters? Seriously,
yeah.
when you're playing the game, how do you choose who you want to be, who you want to follow? And 95% of the people go, I like the color.
Yeah. They're blue,
It's got bat
ultramarines.
wings
Oh
on the
no.
helmets. I want
Yeah.
that. Or I like playing chaos because I'm mean and nasty. Or I like playing orcs because they're dumb, and they're all
Yeah.
green and they can make stuff. It's
And predictable in the tabletop, and they can have like interesting outcomes when you roll the dice.
exactly.
Oh,
So I mean, there's so much to learn. It's like Dungeons and Dragons and things like that. When you start off with Dungeons and Dragons, you pick your character class, or your character race. You go, I want to be yeah, elf or a human or a dwarf or a halfling or something like that, and then it just goes and goes and goes and goes from there. I guess you have to have a starting point, and you don't want to pick a starting point.
yeah. Well, I'm a big philosopher, so that's why I'm, starting and, starting to learn about everything and be like, okay, these guys have morals, they have a code, they have some principles, so that's gonna differentiate them from like another chapter that's more like chaotic, crazy, and all of
But
that. So
what
basically,
happens if they have
whatever.
perfect morals and the perfect setup, but their colors really suck?
Oh, well, I don't know.
That's
I
where you run
mean,
into trouble every time. But
well, I don't play the tabletop because it's extremely expensive. It requires huge space, which I don't have.
mhm,
I found out like after that I when I got into 40K that in Bulgaria there's actually teams that play against other teams. Last time I
mhm.
was informed by Russian fans that Russia was against Bulgaria. Russia like was first place. We were like second place. I'm like, what? I didn't even know that existed here, but okay, that's great. But for instance, there's a chapter, oh damn it, those green guys, the salamanders, yeah, they're green, And I don't
Hmm.
really like their colors or anything, but if they turn out to be the most moral of the chapters, or just the chapter with the most qualities that I value, they're still gonna be number one, no matter if they're green, and I don't really like that green that much. So I just try to be objective. That's how I do things.
Well, I like Angels of Vengeance because I think they're an Unforgiven chapter. They're a successor chapter to the Dark Angels, but they're Unforgiven, which means that basically they're considered to be almost chaos, but not chaos.
Hmm.
But secretly, they work directly for the Emperor, and the Emperor sends them in as the mercenaries. It's like grab these guys, go in there, clean up that mess.
So they're like low key, like secret agents almost.
Yep, very much so. And so even like after I'd picked the colors, that sort of thing, and then I started researching it, and more came out about them. And yeah, that was I thought, wow, I picked the right ones. That's really cool.
Yeah, just they were just standing there to be, featured in that film, and it's just destiny,
So,
all around.
but yeah, I mean, there's like for instance, you see the helmet on the Space Marine. It's like the faceplate there is a lot larger than a normal one, um, and the mouth plate piece, and it's
Yeah, the
got
grill.
yep the grill, and it's got bellum written across the front of it, which means you know in in Latin that's war, um, and so the Latin that's actually across the shoulder is not High Gothic. It's just normal Google translated Latin. Just things like that. It's just there's so many different things about the costume that is not, it's not Warhammer 40k accurate. But people don't care. They just want to see live action. They want to see some big robot tromping in and squashing some aliens and saving a guy.
Yeah, but there's the other element where when you make something on screen, you kind of solidify it, so it could become canon just because it's on screen now. It's visualized.
And which I think
It
it
came to
has.
fruition.
Yeah, I think it has become canon. I mean, it's a lot of people will refer to Guardsman and the Space Marine as that's what a Space Marine is supposed to look like. Um, or actually, that's a modified version. Um, the pattern I started with was not that tall. It was only more like human size. But because obviously I ordered some stilts from eBay and they were 15-inch high, when they turned up, the pattern that I was working with was only designed for an 8-inch lift, not a 15-inch lift. So I had 7 inches, which I had to try and make up.
Oh my.
And so anyway, I had to extend the shin. So I made the shin longer. And then it looked really
Hmm.
goofy because obviously you got these long legs and then you got a short body. So
Yeah,
my wife said, well, why don't you just make the stomach section a little bit longer and
yeah,
drop the waist down a little bit. So drop your waist and hips down a little bit, and so that made the entire body longer and fit everything perfectly. So obviously I had to have hand extensions then and things like that to make the arms look the right length. But that's how it ended up being the right shape and the right proportions, was by pure
yeah.
accident.
I totally get it. After all, you have to fit into a costume that is made for, a not existing enhanced soldier that is way bigger than a real human. It's supposed to fit him perfectly, but you're like human size.
Tiny, tiny. And that's the same with the Terminator. The Terminator is massive. I mean, it's a huge costume, and you can see there's videos out on YouTube of me getting suited up in it and walking around. And a
Yeah,
lot of a lot of people have said, you know, you've now proven that a normal person can wear a suit of that size and move
yeah,
and walk and function. Um,
absolutely. Yeah.
and
That is
so,
always a question also that I had in my mind. First time that I saw something like this was the CGI version of that big suit that Iron Man had,
oh,
the
the
Hulk
Hulkbuster, yep.
Buster.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's the first time that I saw something similar before 40K, and I was like, oh, that would never work in real life because that the human is just too small.
Yeah.
But well, the Terminator is smaller than the whole Buster, but still to see it functioning in real life, and you don't actually have any robotics inside. It's just engineering of everything, and it's movable. That's awesome accomplishment on itself.
Thank you. It was a lot of screwing around to get it right. But
Well, you did.
and it's pretty impressive when you look on the inside of it. I mean, from the outside it looks fantastic, but from the inside it's even, far more impressive again. Because you've got like there's like from shoulder to shoulder there's a metal bar which goes all the way across, which holds everything, so the chest and the shoulders and everything up, and the arms are strapped up to that bar, so I don't have to hold the arms up. I can just let go.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
Now there's a that metal bar has a solid plastic brace, like a plate, which wraps over the bar and goes down, and then I've got a backpack harness sewn, actually stitched to that big plate. So when I jump in and connect everything up, everything clips up to the harness. So the legs and everything, they all clip up, so that my whole body takes the weight of the costume rather than just my shoulders. And
Yeah.
but I can let go of the controls in the arms, bring my arms inside the chest and just fold them and relax, and then I can just start to walk with my arms folded, and the arms will actually just sway side to side on their own.
Oh, that is just amazing. I can only imagine how that looks in real life. I mean, I've seen the Comic Con footage and it's impressive on its own. I was like, I cannot believe my eyes, And I've seen a lot of costumes in person on our Comic Con, but of course, nothing like this. So if I see this in person, I'm just gonna go somewhere and faint, like in peace,
I
so
think I
I
think I
can.
think most people haven't seen anything that size. I mean, there's only been a couple of costumes at conventions that have been that big. And they're varying different styles, and like I've seen some Transformers that are nice and big. I've seen obviously a few Warhammer costumes. Fred and Ellie designs. Fred's got an orc mech that he did that's 10 foot tall and 8 foot wide, and about 6 foot
Wow.
deep, so it's bigger than the Terminator. Um, but and it's massive, absolutely gorgeous too. But there are some big costumes out there. I mean, over in Europe there is probably at least half a dozen Terminators that stand, around the 9 foot tall mark,
Wow.
and go to a lot of the conventions. So some of the boys that I hang out with on my channel, they are over there, in Finland and Sweden and Norway, around those sort of areas, and they go to the conventions in their big Terminator costumes as well. So there are quite a few out
Oh,
there. Um,
I have to check the group if they're in the group,
oh yeah, they're all
if
in 40K cosplay. So
okay.
everybody
Gotcha.
everybody just slowly eventually gets to 40K cosplay. So
Amazing. So I just have to ask you, what are your future projects in the meantime while you're waiting for the movie hopefully to start and to work on that? What are you doing in the meantime?
okay, future project. I'm currently in the planning stage. So the 3D modeling and bringing up the patterns, or making the patterns for a Primaris Aggressor full-size suit. So
Oh, that's amazing. Primaris. Oh, that's gonna be. Oh, that is
it's
actually
not
very
just not
fascinating
just a
because the
Primaris,
body is
but
like longer.
yep, but not
I
just
mean,
a
it's.
Primaris. It's going to be the Aggressor, which is the heavy-duty Terminator version. And it looks amazing. He's got power fists on each hand, like these mini power fists, and they've got assault cannons on the power fists. And then he's got these huge packs, and then he's got a grenade launcher on the top, across his shoulders, and yeah, it's just brutal. It's like a Primaris armor, except extra plating. So
Oh,
uh,
gee.
just really really solid. And so
Oh, okay. Who are you making this for? Is it like an order or you're making
no, I'm
it
making it for
for?
me.
for you?
I don't do commissions for people. I mean, occasionally I'll make something for somebody because I like them, but mostly because mostly I don't make things for other people. I just make them for me. Um, yeah. So
Well, since you won that, I imagine that's gonna be a lot of material, but now you're very good, so you're not
I
gonna
have
throw
I
that much
have
out.
I have behind the costumes over there is about this thick of material waiting for that project. So I've been stockpiling EVA foam to do it. So
And how long do you think that that's gonna take you in general
it'll take around 4 to 6 months
from
from start
now?
to yeah from start to finish. So because I mean the planning stage, I had to get somebody to actually model it for me because I'm not very good at 3D modeling. So a guy over in India, I paid him $250 to model, to model the Primaris aggressor. So I sent him all
Mhm.
the pictures and images and bits and pieces, and then he made the model up. And then I had to get another guy from the States because the model was way too complicated. I had to get another guy from the States to help me to simplify it down, make it easier. And now I'm in the process of putting all these tiny little parts together, and then obviously making patterns out of those parts. So
Oh, Jesus.
it's long and it's painful and it's a lot of people go, oh, I want to watch you do it. It's like, no, you don't. You don't want to sit there for 8 hours watching me move bits and pieces around to make a pattern.
It's literally grinding something, like trying to make a statue out of a huge rock, and you have to like do this. But it just in other ways, but it's basically like a metaphor for the for that
So Dark
with
Dark
the hammer.
Lightning just Dark Dark Lightning just said, how do I fit into the Sister of Battle costume? I don't. it's, that's my wife's costume. Thank you. But my boobs wouldn't fit in there. Sorry, they're just too big.
Oh
So
yeah.
all right, well look, I mean it's been fantastic, and thank you so much for like taking the time to ask me about all the fun stuff. It's been great.
Oh, thank you.
But
Yeah, it's been just awesome. Thank you.
I do have a few more projects on the list as well. By the way, I've got other things like the robot from the new Lost in Space series. Um, I want to do that. That's a massive task. But there's
Oh,
there's there's a lot of things. So, but anyway, what else? Have I tried to make a orc war boss suit? No. I'm still getting into the prosthetics and the organic side of things. So organic stuff is a lot harder because there's all sorts of curvy shapes. Still working on that stuff. A Primarch suit. I have been asked to make Primarch suits, but again, more unrealistic because the taller and bigger you get, the harder it is not to have a tiny head. So
yeah. It's gonna be super tiny on the Primark, even worse than the
exactly. So
Terminator.
unless you've got a big prosthetic foam head that goes along with it, it's going to look silly.
You
Um,
know, I would just love to have emperor costume, but made in female form, so in smaller, so it can fit me. That's gonna look just amazing and
I can
golden.
I can I can help you work on that if you like.
Well, if I have, like I've said, time and the resources, I'm definitely
Yeah,
going to ask you for that. Yeah.
sure, not a problem. I mean, and I can always find local people in your area that can help you out as well. So
Oh,
40k cosplay is
yeah.
worldwide. So
Ah,
you,
yeah, absolutely. There's so many passionate people here.
exactly. All right, Gary, thank you so much for your time today. I've got to go. I've got a meeting actually starting in 3 minutes for
Okay,
work,
okay,
for
thank
actual
you.
work.
Yes, of course. So thank you very much, Terry. The links to your channel is already down below. I'm just gonna put the link to the Facebook page as well, Facebook group,
Yep,
so everybody can
fantastic.
join. And I hope that I can see you for your future awesome projects when you're ready with that. We can discuss.
Excellent. Feel free to hit me up if you just want to, gas bag and talk about whatever. So,
Awesome,
all right, guys, everybody,
awesome.
thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you guys, and bye bye for me too. Have a great night. Bye bye.